This week, this video really is kind of meant for you fantasy romance readers that either have been thinking about or honestly have never thought about reading historical romance. This is for you. Okay, just trust me on this. I really feel like by the end of the video, I can convince you that this will be a genre that you will like. Okay, my whole plan for this is kind of like a beginner's guide of like how to get into historical romance. Find the ones that you would like, because there's a spectrum, man, okay? Most people have this idea that historical romance is just kind of this kitschy, cheesy thing. They think of Fabio and they think the romance is just going to be really cheesy, right? And a lot of times people like associate this with like porn books. They just think it's just tons of sex. It's not. It's about the relationship. And I'm gonna be honest with you here. I love fantasy romance, but historical romance totally trumps it when it comes to building a relationship, building that anticipation, making it feel believable. Like it's just trust me on this, okay? Like if you love to read romance, historical romance authors, they really know how to like build that angst, build that anticipation. It's just, it's good, okay? I feel like I can convince you. Here's how this is gonna be set up. I'm gonna tell you why I think you're gonna like it. I'm gonna give you some key words that you should focus on in order to find the books that you're gonna like. And then lastly, of course, I'm not gonna leave you hanging here. I have recs for you, and I have recs of books that I really, really, really think you will like. They're 5-star reads of mine. And I'm the type of historical romance reader, like I'm not into wallflowers. I'm not into just sitting around a house and we're there together for a week for some event and we fall in love. I need more to it, okay? I need strong women, women who defy convention. I need to go on an adventure. I want to be with a pirate, like all sorts of stuff. As far as why I think you should actually read it, and honestly why you'd actually fall in love. Firstly, fantasy romance, we read it to escape. We want to experience different species, different realms, different social structures, political structures, court intrigue, whatever it might be. Historical romance, oftentimes you're going to a country that you don't even live in, and it's in a totally different time. And it's not all Regency, by the way. It's not all Bridgerton. I've read ones like 700 AD. I've been with a Viking. I've been in the Renaissance. I've been in Regency, Victorian England. I've been like 1920s gangster, like just, there's a lot. You have a lot of options, okay? It's like fantasy in that regard of you can go to a lot of different places, experience a lot of different social structures, okay? So you still kind of get to escape this world because the customs back then are nothing like they are now. And the whole like political and the social structures are wildly different than they are today. And honestly, especially like if you go back to England or really any European country, you're still gonna have that court intrigue. Like if that's one reason like you like fantasy romance, there's still a lot of court intrigue. You have different power structures, different hierarchy, and that naturally plays into why these books have really, really good angst and anticipation when it comes to the romance. And it's based off of real life. So there's kind of this natural sort of ability for the authors in historical romance to create something very believable, and it will seem consistent across all the authors that you read. So you really feel like you're constantly going back to this world. Also, the other thing is if you kind of need a break from your fantasy romance, especially if you're reading like heavy stuff, what's great about historicals is even if you have a series, they're all standalones and they always have that happy ending. So if you're ever having like just a really anxious day, or it's just, you know, you need a day where you need a little pick-me-up, you need a little sweetness, a little wholesomeness, and a historical romance can totally do that. Can you definitely get those like crazy plot lines where you're just like, oh my God, you're on the edge of your seat? Absolutely, but it's always gonna end on a very wholesome, happy ending. So that's kind of nice about that, especially if you have anxiety, all right? It's great. So that's why I think you'd actually really, really like it. On top of it, this is kind of like a bonus. The thing that you get in historicals that you don't get with fantasy actually has to do with buying them, okay? Because you can find these tons of them at the library, at the thrift store, at a real estate sale. A lot of times, Facebook Marketplace, people are just giving them away. You can get them for free all the way up to like $1, you know? So you can build your collection very quickly, which is fun. But especially like if you go after the vintage ones, you have crazy covers. Like look at, like these are gorgeous. I love these. My whole bookcase in the back, that's my artwork collection. And are there kitschy crazy ones? Sure, but then there's other ones that look like a freaking like old-time movie poster that just looks sick, you know? So it's like treasure hunting in a way. It's fun. It's something you don't get with the fantasy side that I personally really enjoy. That's why I think you'd actually really enjoy it. You still get adventure. You get really good built-up romance. It's just, you have to try it. You just have to trust me. Try one of the books that I'm going to recommend. Okay? But before I get to those recs, if you're trying to look for books on your own, these are the key words that I think you should really focus on right now, since you are a fantasy romance reader, and this will help narrow it down to the books to find a plot that I think you will actually enjoy. So firstly, all of these put the keyword and then historical romance. Adventure, historical romance. Revenge, historical romance. Captive, kidnapping. Things like that, that's naturally going to have an adventure sort of plot line in it, especially if you're into that storyline, which I am, babe. Let's see, sold, auction, again, something I'm really into. Stake and identity or hidden identity. Those, a lot of times, they have a lot of adventure to those plot lines. There's something really good to sink your teeth into. And then as far as like kind of keywords for maybe the men you're looking for, pirates. Of course, I mean, we all love a good pirate. Scottish, actually. If you don't know the history between England and Scotland, there's a lot of animosity. There's a lot of stuff there that naturally builds up that angst and a sort of revenge plot. Highwaymen, and then also spies. Those would be the keywords that I'd focus on for you guys right now to help you find those books. But if you're just feeling like, you know what, Maggie, just tell me what I should actually read. Okay, I got you. I got 5 books here. These are all 5-star reads. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to start with the book that has like the most to its plot line. Like it has a lot of adventure, a lot of different things to sink your teeth into. And then I'm going to go down. All of these I feel like you're going to enjoy if you're a fantasy romance reader. But the first one I'm going to do has a lot to it. Okay? So that being said, number 1. This is The Pirate Prince by Galen Foley. And essentially, like the main things that we have in here is we have a missing prince, a hidden identity, a revenge plot, adventure, a pirate. But just kind of a general storyline that we have is there's this island where the royal family was murdered and the prince disappeared. Kind of like an Anastasia vibe. He disappeared, new family comes into power, and this pirate who knew the royal family hates them and wants to get revenge on them. So he tries to kill all of them, but the youngest daughter, she basically throws herself at his mercy saying, spare them, take me, I don't care what you do, I'll do whatever you want, but spare them. And he takes her onto his pirate ship and they kind of go on this adventure. There's some crazy scenarios that they go through, but it's one bed, they have forced proximity, they gotta learn about each other. So she learns about him and his backstory, which is sad and crazy, and he learns about her and her passions and just how she's an incredibly intelligent individual, and they come together, and that's where I will leave it. Okay, there's a lot to it as far as like the royal family goes and the island and the political structure and just the adventure. It's good. Highly recommend. Very steamy. All of these are really steamy, but this is a very good book. Lots of adventure to it. So this one, okay, this one's great. Oh, we're good. But this is The Perfect Wife by Victoria Alexander. And essentially we have a very strong woman here. She's a woman that defies convention, which is my favorite thing. And we have like mistaken identity and we have adventure. It's good. In this, we have our girl who, now she's technically older. She has a daughter who's actually marrying this man whose father is also widowed, and they're trying to kind of bring their parents together. But lo and behold, they actually already know each other. Or at least our girl knows the man. He doesn't recognize her, right? And that's because back in the day when she first became widowed, she just had her baby, she had to put food on the table. So she did whatever she had to do that. And what she decided was she was going to put on some freaking pants and she was going to lead some men on a ship and be a buccaneer. And she was damn good at it, right? And our guy here, he actually was working for England and trying to catch her because she was taking so much stuff. She's so talented, but England obviously hated her. So he was going after her. He actually catches up to her, but she bests him and actually blindfolds him, and they kind of have this little moment together. It's in the beginning. It's fantastic. And she gets away. Now, fast forward in time, they meet. She sees him, freaks out, worried that he's going to recognize her, but he doesn't. His brain's kind of tickled, but he doesn't recognize her because once she came out of being a buccaneer, she just presented herself as just a very genteel lady. She's the perfect idea of a wife, of a woman of the time, all that jazz. They actually end up getting married because of a certain situation. An adventure ensues and they end up being on a ship, and then that's where her true personality comes out. He still doesn't know who she is yet, but she's wearing pants and just showing him like, this is who I am. Deal with it. So they have a really good sort of dialogue with each other in their relationship. It's very fun to read. It's very, very good. So that's The Perfect Wife. Highly recommend. You also kind of have a secondary romance of her daughter and her lover in that as well. So for number 3, I don't have it in print, but I recently talked about this. It's called The Beauty and the Spy by Gail Callan. And this is really good. He's such a cinnamon roll. So I love it. But he's a spy. We have a captive situation. We have an ongoing mission. It's good. It's fun. So the whole plot is this girl, she found her father's journals where she finds out that he was a spy, and she kind of picks up on these skills. She just got out of widowhood and she's bored. So she's trying to actually utilize these skills to entertain herself. And she's at a ball and she ends up finding a suspicious man, follows him, gets in a wardrobe and overhears his conversation with his contact about kind of like some traitorous secrets to England. And she ends up getting found out because she's not a very good spy. And the contact is like, you have to kill her. Like she couldn't have heard this. Kill her now. And our man is trying to convince her like, hey, I'm a spy. Like I'm not really going to kill you. Just trust me. And she's just hollering and whatnot. Takes her captive because he can't have her running her mouth, which he's worried she's going to do. Takes her captive, very much treats her like a captive, but internally he's very sad about that because he finds her very sweet and of course very pretty and things like that. So he wants to be gentle, but he can't. And they have to kind of learn to trust each other because she's very wary of him. And then he finds out who her father was, and he plays an important part. He actually ends up letting her join the mission, and they're going after this woman that he actually used to be in love with, who's the real traitor. It's good. It's good. Their relationship's very sweet and very cute, so highly recommend that one. Now, number 4. So the next 2, actually, they're both by Anna Campbell. They're both very good. These have the least amount of like scenery changes, but the plot lines are ones I still think you'd really like. Okay, so the first one. This is 7 Nights in a Rogue's Bed by Anna Campbell, another one of my freaking favorites. This is a play on Beauty and the Beast. We have a girl who's kind of sacrificing herself. This all revolves around bets, and we have yet again another very strong woman who's not just some sarcastic, bratty character. Okay, she's very well written. They're both very well written. Essentially, we have our Beast. He was playing cards with this woman, the wife of his arch nemesis, and he wins the bet that she's gonna come and sleep with him for 7 days. The night comes, she's not the one who actually shows up at his door. Instead, it's her sister, because the husband actually would kill his wife if she ever showed up, if he found out. So the sister's like, you can't do this, and ends up going to the Beast. She stands her ground. Like I said, she's a strong freaking woman. Stands her ground, can hold off all of his cold, brash, crude remarks. It's not going to sway her, and says, take it or leave it. You get me or you get nothing. That's how this is going to work. So it's kind of, the neat part about them is the play on the Beauty and the Beast, so if you're into fairy tale retellings, but it's their dialogue and their relationship. It is very much enemies to lovers, and there's that sacrificial element. So it's good. It's very, very good. Of course, steamy, because it's a week of passion, but it's good. I think you'd like it. Now, the next Anna Campbell book, number 5 here. This is the last book that I'm recommending for now, but this is called Untouched. And boy, is this a good one. This has the least adventure in the sense of scenery changes, if you will, in this book, but it's still really, really good. Essentially, we have a male virgin, we have a kidnapping, we have multiple captives in this situation, and kind of almost like a little bit of a revenge plot. So it's good. I'll just get into it. So essentially what we have is this young man, when he was 13 or 14, his parents died and he came into his title and came into his money. The uncle ends up taking care of him because he's still so young, and realizes that he can actually control the purse strings if he can get a doctor say that his nephew is mad. So that's what's happened. Our main guy, our love interest, if you will, he's been pronounced mad, insane, all that jazz. So he's kind of locked away in this house with these super tall walls. It's basically like a prison for him. And his uncle's trying to keep him alive because his uncle can just, he can take out as much money as he wants, but not have to really deal with all of the responsibilities of the title. So our guy, that's no way to live, right? So he basically just wants to die. So the uncle ends up kidnapping a woman, thinking she's a trollop. She's not. And she ends up coming, our mad guy, if you will. He ends up basically just being like, oh, you're a trollop. You're just under the control of my uncle. I hate you, yada, yada. But simultaneously, he's now not alone. And there's like a sweet, beautiful woman with him. She's freaking out because she's kidnapped, but she finds out about his plight and is just very compassionate and wants to help him. And he starts to realize that it was a case of mistaken identity and she's not really a trollop and that she's just been put into a terrible situation. So he wants to get her out, she wants to get him out, and it's very sweet. And he's never really got to see a woman before. So that whole male virgin side comes out where he wants to rescue her, but at the same time, he doesn't want to go back to being lonely. And she's so sweet to him. It's good. It's really, really good. I highly recommend it. I recommend all 5 of these books, but like I said, if you need a lot of adventure, a lot of stuff to sink your teeth into, start with the first one with Pirate Prince. So that's it. I hope you liked that. I hope you found this helpful. I really just kind of want to bring you into my bubble, into my little historical romance, fantasy romance bubble. But like I said, I really feel like you would enjoy the genre. So hopefully I've gotten you off on a good start. Okay? I will catch you guys later. If you did like this video, please leave a thumbs up. And if you want to hang out more, maybe think about subscribing. I don't know. But anyways, I gotta get going and I'll catch you later. Bye.